about kind of hammer action, and of course everybody's favorite, the hands.
Gotta love the hands.
Yeah, I
looks
mean,
like they're
maybe
about to get started soon here.
All right, racers off. So we see already a nice, fun little varied strat. So Aweglib going for the slightly safer bounce against the first pipe, and ibuba going for the slightly faster but more risky jump and slight turn back. So always fun to see in a race setting, especially in the first level. It can be a little disconcerting starting off with an early death, but they get through it quite well.
Yeah, I'll see if they're able to replicate that in the second level here. Get P speed here. It's kind of a hard grab, and looks like both of them actually have to opt for backup strats here. Unfortunately, missing it. One of the more difficult P speed grabs in World 1 for sure. Yeah,
I agree. Some people might say, well, World 1, oh, that's the first world, that must be easy mode. Well, that is not correct. There are a lot of interesting techs and little minor, tiny improvements that you have to go through the entirety of the game, World 1 included. So, for example, this jump up here, let's see if ibuba gets it. Excellent execution there. So that saves a good 5-7 seconds there, and you can see that ibuba is already caught up now.
Yeah, he actually went from behind, slightly behind there to head just by hitting that strat. That's definitely one that saves a bunch of time. Also, we'll see in 1-6 as well, another similar jump that if you miss it, unfortunately, loses a bunch of time as well.
Yeah, as with many Mario games, Mario Brothers 3 especially, we find some really punishing results. So in this jump that's upcoming, you'll see that below the players, below the runners, is just an empty void of doom and destruction. So if you miss any one of those jumps, it's an insta-death, costing you something like at least 20 seconds. So let's see how they fare.
Yeah, absolutely. The rest of this level is just pretty straightforward, but yeah, this can be a little nerve-wracking whether or not you get P speed there. It looks, you know, once they take that leap of faith, it looks like, oh man, what's going to happen? But, you know, I assure you, once they get to that point, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And we see them in sync already. Now we see the Hammer Brother in a slightly different location. Now, if he's on the left, we can see the Fire Flower is revealed. If the player grabs the Fire Flower right before the level is going to fade away, you can save up to about half a second there. So I think ibuba saved a little chunk of time there with the animation into Fire Mario. So props there for that possibility.
Yeah, I think he got a movement of 1 there too, which, you know, if you get a movement of 2, it actually loses you about a second compared to that.
Yeah, these tight races, I anticipate and hope that it will just be flip-flop who's ahead just based on these little minor differences, both skill and execution and RNG.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much separation until probably World 3. It's usually about the place you see a little bit of separation between high-level runners anyway.
Yeah, and little minor things, so we'll see who gets the fire kill here. It can be pretty tricky. A lot of times they'll still pop their head.
Looks like Booba does a great job of getting it. Glib having a little bit of trouble, but he ends up getting it.
Yeah, and we can see that must be, I think, a 3-second difference or so. But that can save a little bit of time there for every fire kill you get at the end of the airship. Moving on to World 2.
Yeah, interesting to note. I'd be surprised if we see fire kills on the Morton Koopa Kid in World 2 here. Just his patterns are a little tricky, so.
Yeah, it can be really challenging for the runners depending on how they go leading up to it. That there's like one pattern that everyone is fairly common with. So if there's a slight deviation, we'll just hang back and play it safe. But depending, I'm sure these guys are experienced enough to recognize it. So hopefully they'll grab that.
Yeah, it looks like both of them do a nice job of grabbing P speed here in 2-1. Clip taking a little bit of damage. Looks like he clipped in that block, unfortunately.
Yeah, perfect speed, 1 pixel drop. That's too bad. Losing firepower.
That does come into play in the fort here. Losing fire flower before the fort is a little punishing in this world. Losing it after is not so bad because you can just grab it again on the airship, and you don't really need it for anything else in this world.
Yeah, it's just that maybe 5 seconds or so in the fort. It shouldn't punish him too bad. So let's
Yeah,
see who
no.
gets a P-speed and how early in the fort. There are a lot of different variations on this.
Looks like Booba gets some fairly early P-speed there. Very nice.
And Glib going for a safe strat to guarantee very early P-speed. So we'll see if they meet up sometime. You see Booba and I guess many other runners at different times are doing these little tiny itsy bitsy jumps when they're coming in to new places. So when you come in with P-speed, the jumps are trying to maintain the P-speed as long as possible and then regenerate P-speed as fast as possible after the jump. So they're executing this trick very frequently and saving themselves quite a bit of frames every time. So props to them for that.
Yeah, it's good to mention that actually. Going through doors, the first jump you'll maintain the P-speed animation. The second jump you have to have a frame perfect jump, and then you'll keep P-speed coming out of the door as well. And looks like Booba's starting on the sun level. This is, I think, a favorite for a lot of the crowd. Tormented a lot of us when we were younger and didn't know what was going on here for sure.
Yeah, there are some pretty tricky elements to the sun. You might think, oh no, it's coming. He's coming down for a swoop. Let me back up, turn around. But he stays static on the screen, to much chagrin of runners. But it looks like they're getting through it okay. Now, Glib had an interesting note. I think I noticed it on Glib's screen, where the Hammer Bro was on a screen transition there in between those two levels. And so he'll just stay stuck there. So the rule for Hammer Bro movement is they can't move past completed levels. So now that he's stuck there, there is another Hammer Bro off on the side, off screen to the right. But he is guaranteed to stay there, and hopefully that'll save him a little bit of time here in the future.
That's actually a cool little trick there, because it's actually a single frame that allows you to do that. But during the screen transition, if you hold the directional arrow or the directional pad the direction you're going, you'll always skip the Hammer Bro.
Yeah, it's one of those great swag tricks that's like trivial to pull off, very, very easy, but it really does save time and is awesome. And it looks like Aweglib is here. Did Aweglib pick up the Hammer Bro yet?
No, I think the Hammer Bro is between the pyramid and the castle.
Gotcha. Well, both runners doing really well there, Aweglib especially, so those are just really tight, tricky jumps. Fun to see a lot of varied execution in that level, and they both pull it off pretty well.
Ooh, looks like he got jebaited a little there by the item spawn.
The chest jukes.
Yep. And again, we were talking about this airship going in, so interesting to note, the Koopa Kid pattern is actually determined by the amount of time it takes you to complete the last level prior to entering the airship and the time that you enter the pipe on the end of the airship. So Hammer Bro movements come into play here in determining that pattern on occasion, as well as whether or not you fight a Hammer Bro between the last level and the airship, because they don't consider Hammer Bros at actual level.
Picking up easy firepower, so same power-ups, same Hammer Bro items, and about 15 seconds between the runners. They'll be pretty close going into World 3, assuming no boss issues.
Yeah, as expected, we're seeing Booba stomp Morton here, which, yeah, pretty much the safe play. I mean, I'd suggest it. Pretty tough fire kill, actually. Looks like Glib's doing the same. And now we're going to be entering one of my favorite worlds, World 3. Definitely got some cool, interesting mechanics here. This is the first world where coin ships actually come into play, and then we get our first look at, and our, I guess only look at boss bass as well in this run. So.
Yeah, so if y'all don't know, and I'll forget the worlds, apologize, but coin ships are just these long, tedious, terrible levels that are auto-scrollers. Sometimes you can skip, sometimes you can't. On this world in particular, you want to get both bros or else a later bridge flips alternatively. So you'll want to get both. Now, if one of them is a coin ship, you'll have to enter and go through something like, I don't know, 2 minutes of terrible auto-scroller, ending in getting your item still. This occurs when your coin count is a multiple of 11 on certain levels, including this world, on certain worlds, pardon, including World 3. So you'll often see players correcting their coin count to, like, often is 1 plus a multiple of 11. So we'll see them keep track of that. For example, Abuba right now is 1 plus a multiple of 11.
Yeah, interesting to note that they both forego the P speed strat here in 3-2, is opting to take the little safer strat.
Yeah, 3-2 is one of the very tricky P speed as well. So not only is it tricky to build and takes a little time and wastes a little time if you don't get it, but then it can be punishing depending on how you execute it. So it's a good safe strat to just avoid it altogether, depending.
Yeah, actually the jumps in that stage change because the cheap locations change based on how fast you grab the P speed as well. So you have to be able to recognize what jumps you have to do.
Yeah. Now Glib giving me a little heart attack there, so he was maintaining P speed for a good long time and comes out with a solid time. Boss Bat's getting dangerously close, but good job pulling it off, Glib.
And speaking of the coin ships, it's worlds 1, 3, 5, and 6 where it comes into play, but you never see it in 1 just based on the numbers of coins that are grabbed.
Yeah, now am getting worried for Abuba right now, so one of those hammer bros went off to the right side. We're going to want him to come back over so that that bridge that flips every alternating level is down for a level that you really want to cloud over. So you get a skip on an auto scroller, which is critical. So if you do not get the hammer bro back, then a lot of times we'll see players taking a death because it's such a, I don't know, a bummer. So we'll see what happens.
It's worth noting that for Glib too, that hammer bro is kind of in a dangerous spot, and he opted to skip the first hammer bro and do 3-4 to prevent this bro from running away. So I also did the same thing in my race, just kind of a nice thing to do to prevent losing quite a bit of time. So yeah, he's got to come all the way back.
It sends me to no end, Booba. My heart goes out to you. So that was an intentional death in order to skip 6. 6 again is just a terribly long auto scroller.
Well, the good news for him is at least he doesn't have to fight that hammer brother. So it could have been worse, but yeah, definitely not ideal.
Yeah, going back for the big Mario. Optimally, you'll have Windy, especially of every airship boss, is far better to go in with fire because it is easy to get the fire kill on her, and it is very tricky to not get the fire kill on her. So bopping her on the head is a danger because of the projectiles she shoots, these little orbs of doom that are pretty tricky to avoid if you're trying to kill her quickly. So we'll see how Ibuba goes about that.
Yeah, my guess is he's going to grab the extra upgrade in the airship just as an insurance policy. And it's a free damage boost on her too to get a free hit.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd way rather risk that half-second animation and safety and not be Small Mario going into World 4 than otherwise.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the fire kill is actually fairly straightforward, and Glib should be able to gain a decent chunk of time here, being able to get that too. Looks like Booba foregoing the tail.
I think on my super incredibly ridiculously accurate predictions, we're about 15 seconds difference right now. So the fire kill should mitigate some of that. I don't know, something like 5 seconds. Looks like the runners will be really close, and ibuba will have to get a power up as well, probably costing 5 to 10 seconds. So I think we're looking at an extremely close match currently.
Nice duck there to avoid that that ring. Ooh, beautiful. That's not easy. that was, I guarantee that was nerve-wracking for him.
Absolutely. It is terrifying for me, and I'm not even playing. So good job, Abuba, under much stress. Props to you. And Aweglib wrapping up. We can see the difference in challenge. So the fire kill was a good, clean fire kill from Glib, and then just some tricky movements and dodging from Abuba, but still making it through. So bravo, runners.
And we get our look at World 4. A lot of people, this is their favorite world because, I don't know, I like it too because of all the big, goofy-looking enemies you get to fight.
Yeah, 4 is great. I know Glib loves 4, multiple levels on 4. We see Glib going in, still hanging out with 55 coins, and this is terrifying me. The coin ships show no mercy, so we'll see if he can remedy that situation here soon.
Well, the nice thing is there's a bunch of coins on the airship in this world, and, you know, being it's the worst airship in the entire game, you get plenty of time to rectify that problem. Glib doing a great job of getting a P-speed strat there.
Yeah, so we'll see up here in 4-2 an interesting trick where if you kill this second Koopa, then we despawn a Piranha Plant, which can save like a second. But we see Glib employing all of the tactics to save the time. So he does execute that trick and despawns and saves a good second, so bravo there. And a lot of people's favorite 4-3, so we have power-ups to not bother too much, I guess. But this is a fun, just really tight level with some great platforming mechanics that I think Glib says in his bio that he loves 4-3 as one of his favorite levels of all time, so he's going through it pretty smoothly as well.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite levels as well. It just looks so beautiful when you're able to pull it off. Yeah, and he does a great job of making it all the way through, and Booba takes a little bit of damage there, but he makes it through. It's kind of a punishing level if you don't get P-speed at the beginning there. You'll lose a lot of time, so it's important for them to be able to get those speed strats.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting note in 4-4 here, we're gonna see potentially some Lakitu snipes. Being Small Mario is a little rough here because it puts you at risk of being sniped by either this Lakitu or the one above it. Ooh, and Booba, nice job bouncing out that Lakitu. That is not easy, especially when you can't afford to take a hit, so.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That is Booba's least favorite level, also said in the bio, so he does get through. Came in small, went out small, bravo. Glib took a little bit of damage there. Did get P-speed, which is pretty tricky timing-wise, but gets through. So we'll see whose hammer bros are where, and we get 2 music boxes, I guess. And we see Glib getting some early P-speed.
Yeah, generally when the Hammer Bros are in those locations where they're blocking 4 or 6, you're going to see runners choose to use their music box there.
Yeah, so I think neither of them had to get the music box in World 2, but they did use it here. So we're probably going to be fishing for Music Bro in World 5.
And praying to skip Star Bro.
Yes.
And both of them are able to re-grab fire in the fort here, which is great. So yeah, this is very, very tight race right now.
Again, we see the screen scroll trick. So if you are going over, you can just skip right over that bro if you hold to the left. If your input is down, then it's perfectly fine and you can skip over it, no problem. Going into the slowest auto scroll of the game.
Yeah, everybody's favorite auto scroller here. It's actually interesting to note, so that screen transition mechanic, you can afterwards just hold your directional pad, whatever direction you're moving, and you'll get frame perfect movements that direction. Coming out of this airship and starting World 5, you can actually still do that going into 5-1. Generally speaking, when you employ that strat coming out of a level, there's like a slight buffer time between when you start moving, when you're just holding a direction on the D-pad. So just a little cool mechanic there to note.
Yeah, that's great. We see the runners are really close again, somewhere between, I don't know, 8 and 10 seconds. I believe they've gotten the same bros, possibly, or one more, I guess, and entering with the same power-up status. So we're really tight here. Again, delegating to RNG to see what comes in the future.
Both runners just trying to keep themselves occupied on this auto-scroller.
Yeah, this can be, so it's pretty simple mechanics-wise and execution-wise, but honestly, we see sometimes so much goofing off that we can make a mistake. So this jump up here is kind of a fun swag jump that Glib executes, but occasionally, if you miss it, you might freak out and lose power up. We saw that a little earlier in the tournament. But they both get through safely, bravo. Props for not falling asleep, you guys.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to go through that flamethrower section. It requires some pretty accurate jump timing.
Yeah. Now the angle, a lot of times we see some fire action because of the angle of this boss, but I guess they're both opting to do some nice gentle bopping on the head, and they both get through without a hitch, moving on to 5.
Yeah, pretty much just dead even. Still.
Yeah, now 5 is a fun one. So the lower part is pretty tame, but you'll see the players go into a fort that they kind of move vertically, and then the upper part of 5 to the right, kind of the latter half, can be pretty tricky and dangerous and punishing because there's not as many platforms below to land on. So we'll see if they navigate these platforms well.
Yeah, interesting to know in 5-1 here, there's actually a P-speed strat that you can do that's very difficult. I think Mitch is the only person I see do it. It requires some like really good turnbacks in the top section. And saves a little bit of time there. And both runners have no problem skipping the Pit of Despair. It's the lower section of 5-2 here. You definitely don't want to fall in there because it loses you quite a bit of time, and it's also very dangerous down there in comparison to the top section.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a P-speed strat, I guess, that's been mapped out, but I don't think anybody really knows it. And a lot of times you'll see if they miss a jump, players might just take a death down there to save some time.
Yeah, for sure. It's arguably faster to just take a death. And Glib makes it through the fort, no problem. There's a lot of stages in this world that if you miss some jumps can mean instant death. So this is the first one of those, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. So lava's insta-kill. And then later on we have, of course, all the airdrops. And then the later fort has lava on the ground and the ceiling. What's up with that?
Physics don't matter in Mario.
So moving on into this first, I guess we call it the tower. We'll try to get P-speed here. And you have to make a lot of tricky jumps to maintain P-speed and not get bumped by the thwomps and all kinds of tricks. So you'll see them ducking and doing all kinds of fancy jumps and very particular, like coming out of the pipe, trying to move about something like 3 frames. So Abuba takes it over there. We'll see how long he can keep his P-speed.
Oh. Nice little save there by Booba, actually. And yeah, it's tough to get into some of these pipes, actually. They're a little difficult to enter, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but Glib actually lost P-speed coming out of the first one and did a nice job of avoiding the thwomp. That's not easy to do.
So this is one of the tricky levels. So you see below the players, if they miss any of these jumps, they die. They rotate, that's just an animation. If there are enough animations, then it causes input lag on the game. If there's input lag and you're going at P-speed, which is like 40 whatever units of Mario speed, and it does not receive your input, you can't jump. So if a new player experiences input lag, they might freak out and unpress the button, which is the worst thing that you can do. It's a good recipe for falling down a long pit.
Booba getting early P-speed here, and Glib unfortunately going for it took some damage.
Yeah, Booba moving up front now.
Yeah, the P-speed grab in that level is very, very difficult, so well done. And Booba able to get the P-speed strat here since he had a fire flower, and Glib unfortunately had to re-grab his fire, but at least he gets to do that before the fortress coming up here, and so he'll be able to do the fast kill on the boom boom again.
Yeah, poor Glib with the bro just making some unfortunate movements, wasting him a good chunk of time. Looks like Glib gets through the air, ceiling lava, floor lava level. Oh, and Ibuba appears to take a death, so we're getting some lag from him, but unfortunately that'll cost.
Quite sure what's going on. I'm gonna switch over.
My screen is just frozen on a very sad Mario, taking a little hot dip. I think maybe we had some foot stomping action, unfortunately.
Alright, looks like Booba's back now.
Yeah, he says he has internet problems in chat, but it looks like we're all good now.
Yeah, unfortunately that little death's gonna cost him the lead there, but he's not too far behind actually still. It's still anybody's race. The hands are definitely still in play. Now, I didn't notice what movement Aweglib got. Well, actually, you know what? He killed all the Hammer Bros, didn't he? So he can potentially fire kill Roy here if he so chooses.
I think he grabbed the bros, though he had some pretty unfortunate movements there at the end, especially.
Yeah, it's worth noting before you make it to the airship, you need a movement of 1 if there are bros still alive, and then you can do a fire kill on Roy.
Nice. And we're entering the area of airship bosses with the shockwave attack, if you will. So if they drop down and you're on the ground, then you'll be stunned. It can result in just a stun lock and death, honestly, if you're not careful. So hopefully we'll avoid that. Glib gets through cleanly. Bravo. Moving on to 6.
Yep, the first of the 2 thick bosses.
Thick bosses. I'll have to remember that. Good one. All right, great. Boom Boom makes it through. Hopefully he can have a little chill out time as he's fallen from an airship after he just pwned that boss after some internet connectivity issues. Bravo. Cheers to making it to 6, both runners. We'll see probably, just depending on power-up status, Abuba can do a quick leaf grab, but we'll see in the early fort, the players probably are going to take some damage to save this terribly long platform movement. So expect it. It saves a ton of time. You are very wise to execute this trick, and we'll see.
Yeah, so Glib will be able to save a little bit of extra time in comparison, but yeah, if Boob is able to grab the leaf, it's not too terribly much.
So another fun trick in this one, if you, ooh, ouch, Glib takes some damage. So that's a huge time loss. So he will no longer be able to skip with taking some damage boosts in the same way, and he'll lose his power up. Bummer. But yeah, towards the end, we'll see players grab the star, and if you can make it in time to the boom boom, you get an insta kill with a fun upside down question mark inbox. So Glib going at it again. Looks like he'll probably make it this time. Taking an unfortunate death and bringing it also pretty close time-wise.
Yeah, doing a nice job there. The same thing actually happened to him twice in a row where he didn't quite make it in that upper section, but he accounted for that the second time.
Yeah, so if you don't bop the head of that first section, then you'll save a little time if you neither are slowed down on the right-hand wall nor are hit by the upper side. But then if you jump too early, it can be just punishing and you can take a death, so it's unfortunate. We'll see here, so Abuba entering this level where with the, if you bop some of these enemies in a certain way, it looks like he's going for it, you can get a despawn of the munchers. So he does get one, and it'll save a good 8 or 9 seconds there. So we'll see if Glib can pick that up as well.
Yeah, I don't really know how to explain that one in technical terms. You can definitely tell when you do it, and it definitely seems to depend on how fast you get to the right as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And looks like Glib's going to get the double despawn here. Very nice. And they're just taking advantage of the fact that there can only be so many objects on the screen.
Yeah, so especially animated blocks like those throw/ice blocks. See how I'm being non-committal there, everyone. That they just are apparently like wildly computationally expensive. So something to do with them being thrown relates to the success of the despawn.
Yeah, it seems like when they break, they count as extra objects and really lag you too.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess just such magical execution by Glib gets the double. So the double is even just as harder to pull off, I guess, as the single. So double props there to Glib.
Yeah, it requires you to grab it, actually grab an ice block while you're doing it like he did.
Yeah, Abuba doing the 6 strat and Glib blasting through. So that last jump off of the enemy who's falling into the pit, it's always terrifying, but they both get through it easily.
And the hardest level in the entire game, right here. There's actually a wall jump you can do here, and those require a single frame to do. But both runners have a P-wing for this, so.
If we can give a brief shout out to all forts. So this earlier airship that took us so tediously, terribly long, we skipped that in all forts, and we see that clip, the wall clip, here very frequently because you use all of your inventory in forts. So that's always fun to practice and see and execute, but they get through it easily with the P-wing.
Yeah, it sometimes comes into play in this run too if maybe you screw up some item usage or something with a little bit of menu problems, but generally not.
Yeah, for sure. We see some players in the latter part of the fort going over to the left side, building up some P-speed for the ghosts so that they can build up P-speed. All of that is to build up P-speed faster when you go through the door, entering the Boom Boom arena. And it just saves that little bit. Every little bit adds up. You can see how close these runners are.
Worth noting on this airship, there's a nice little swaggy clip that I'm pretty sure, well, Glib would go for if he could, but he's small, unfortunately. We'll see if Booba does it. It doesn't really do anything for you, but it's just kind of cool to see.
Yeah, and we'll see too, note that the next World 7, the first stage, we're going to want to zip through the whole level, which saves like over a minute. It's an interesting level, but alas. So the players will want to, often, we want to maintain this big Mario power-up, like the state that Ibuba has and Aweglib can easily have.
Yep, Glib will just grab the mushroom coming up here, no problem for him. And you definitely don't want to take damage on this boss because that pretty much means you're playing 7-1 the old-fashioned way, unless you're really good at getting that pipe clip as Small Mario.
Yeah, thankfully at least this boss is pretty tame, so he'll just stay there pretty docile in almost all scenarios. Sometimes he can do a little freak out, a little stutter dance there for us, but I didn't notice that on these. Although we moving on to 7, do we have any votes for how many tries it'll be for the 7-1 zip?
They'll both get a first try. That's what I'm going with.
First try, easy every time. You heard it here first. So also, completely anecdotally, may I add, but over the years, we've built up this lore in the Mario community, and I guess currently we think if you run up and are jumping the first time, if you do a duck jump into the upper right tile, then that's like most optimum since you have slightly more speed. Again, that 40 speed, and then every subsequent jump is going to be a normal jump into the pick the tile directly above the door. So we see Glib really ace it early on, and Ibuba's still working on it, costing him a decent little chunk of time.
Yeah, Glib getting it second try there, that's huge.
Yeah, and 7 is one of those, so we're pretty late now in the run. I'd consider this late game. And after some internet connectivity and some issues like that, I'm sure it all is adding up.
There we go.
So we get it through and moving on.
Yeah, he lost about a stage there, but still, I mean, within the realm of the hands.
Yeah, and we're in World 7, so World 7's no joke either. So especially on the latter part of 7, we'll see a challenging set of 3 levels. And I'm not sure which ones these folks opt for, but a lot of time we'll see either a cloud to skip one or just some power-ups used in different tactics. So we might actually see some deviations here. So 8 specifically, 8 being just very punishing, 9 being very long, and or if you try to work on those zips can be very tricky. And then the 7 Fort 2 is just terribly difficult and punishing, especially if you use a cloud on the prior long level. So yeah, I'm interested to see what these runners opt for.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Booba does, if he realizes he's behind or not. And of course, we got Glib zipping through the empty fortress. It's almost as if they forgot to fully furnish that one, because there are no enemies other than that Boom Boom at the end.
Yeah, so everybody skips over 7-4. I'm going to go ahead and co-opt 7-4 into being the worst level in the game. So we've got an auto-scroller, and it's a water level. So double whammy, everybody skips that, to my knowledge. And then we got a couple easy levels here. Now Glib moving into some of the tricky stuff. So 7-8, it can be tricky in execution. And then again, the next level is slow, and the next level is punishing. So it looks like he's going with a star to safeten it up a little bit. He had an extra one anyways, so good call there.
Yeah, it's worth noting that some players opt to grab the hammer suit, which you can find here going down one of the pipes. And they choose to try to keep that to the end, or some players just use it as a damage boost as well if they're small or something.
Yeah, so Glib going in here. So we're going to have 4. He might try the 4 zip route, where if you do that in under, and someone's going to correct me in chat, please do, it's something like 12 attempts, something like that, then you actually save time. So we'll see how he executes.
First 2 are pretty good.
And then he can do a slight deviation to easily pick up a power-up. So perhaps he is going to play the fort and grab some fire here. Well, I guess he skips it. We'll see. Perhaps he's just going to...
That was actually really scary for Booba, because sometimes those fire nippers will just shoot you as you jump in, and fortunately for him, they didn't. And he could have taken a death there, but thankfully they opted not to fire.
Yeah, and Glib taking a cloud over the fort. Fort can be terrifying. Going in as Big Mario is tricky as well. So taking a good safe call there. Abuba doing a similar strat with the zips. So hopefully he'll grab a little time save. We'll see.
Yeah, I think you got to get it within 8 tries, if I remember, to save time on this stage. Something like that.
We got it. Now there are power-ups galore on the airship, so I don't think we'll really care. Glib showing off some sort of a fire despawn swag. Bravo there. And Booba doing the same. So yeah, 7-4-2, especially in the context of a race, is such a wild card. So if you were doing a like a speed run offline, not in a tournament or a race, then you might opt to do the slightly more dangerous, but you're opting to skip it. Can't fault them there.
Yeah, it's worth noting it's actually generally faster if you can pull it off and get a decent 7-9 and 7-4-2 to do those 2 stages and then cloud the fortress in World 8, but there's definitely some risk associated with doing that fort.
Yeah, now I believe, and again, someone correct me if I'm wrong, this is like the longest stage like in width. So whereas that earlier airship was long feeling because it moves so slow, this one actually takes a good long time, something like 2.5 minutes total to get through. So we'll see more clearly where the players are going in World 8. Looks like they'll probably be going in with firepower, and we'll see the hands pretty soon.
Yeah, this is the longest stage in the game. And Glib killing Ludwig, no problem. So we'll get our first look at World 8 here, and We'll get a look at the hands coming up here too. There is actually a guessing game, which will get started here, where you need to guess the number of hands that both players will get combined. And for those of you that don't know, hands are the stages. After these first two auto-scrollers, there's 3 stages that can automatically pull you in, and we call them the hands because there's a hand animation that comes out and grabs you and pulls you in, requires you to do the stage. You can potentially get no hands and just cross all those stages and get to the fast airship as well.
Yeah, so it's 50-50. We do have occasion, depending on the players, where if you get through, get done, if you die, you might have to do another hand. So one person might get 4, but we're looking for total hands for both players summed up. Have some snooze auto-scrollers. Now there's a lot of action going on in here, but especially for this first auto-scroller, we might see a trick from Aweglib at least for popping some of these bombs. Now if you can remove them off the screen instead of doing their very computationally expensive exploding animation, then you can save a few frames, otherwise you'll get some lag in your video. So here coming up on the kind of next set of vehicles, we might see this trick employed.
Yeah, it saves maybe a second or two.
I'll call that a semi-time save for Glib. So he grabbed one vertically, but kept it kind of safe.
Yeah, it can be kind of risky to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So the next fire, the potential fire grab, if they were to take damage, is really tricky on the next auto-scroller. You have to do a crouch jump pretty well timed, and then still have to make it out of there safe. So
it's worth noting with the fire flower, you can actually kill that boomerang bro before he throws the boomerang, and some people call it rangless or sockless, depending on how you refer to the boomerang.
Always gotta love the Mario lore. Sockless, all of the grammar. These are all things I expect on the wiki, side note.
Yeah, kind of disappointed we're not going to see that boat fire grab, because as you say, it's a little tricky, and you see it a lot in the no wrong warp category because you need to grab it there.
Yeah, it's like the only light. Oh, we get some ibuba swag. So we got a little clip. We saw it. If you clip the right pixel with a good speed and jump on the same frame, you can do a little jump after you hit the wall. So that was pretty good. Bravo, ibuba.
And Glib doing some boat swag here to manipulate the hands. It doesn't actually manipulate the hands, by the way. That's just a joke.
All right. We see what hands avail us.
Apparently the hand god said his boat swag was not good enough, so... Oh no.
So 2 might close the gap. We'll see what ibuba gets. But each of these can take between 15 and 20 seconds. So depending on how far away, I think I lost track a bit ago there, but we'll see ibuba's situation.
Alright, he only gets 2. If it would have been 3, they would have been about dead even. If he gets no hands, of course.
Yeah, so airship taken, I believe, is the fastest of the auto scrollers. So we see some tricky movements, and then of course fall to instant death And some of those rocky wrenches, man, they can snipe you almost just as well as Lakitus and 4-4. So we'll see.
Yeah, you
Hopefully
definitely got to eliminate them because they tend to add up over time.
Yeah, that first one, they're facing to the left. The wrench is fair enough. But when they turn back, that can make it really tricky. So Abuba getting 2 as well. Hopefully that'll be it for him. Oh, he makes it through with P-Speed as well. Bravo. Makes me wonder if he practiced the hands. But bravo, good hand action there, Abuba.
Now he'll get his turn at the fast airship here.
Well, there will be a tricky one. 8-1 to maintain P-Speed is extremely difficult. There's not like a huge time difference, but there's a lot of trickiness to it. So we'll see if Glib, now going through it, can grab it, and if Abuba's going to attempt it.
Oh, beautifully done there. Not an easy strat to do. It's a little easier when you have a star because you can just run through that first Koopa. There is also a strat where you can use a fireball to kill that Koopa and get earlier P-Speed, but it's pretty risky.
Yeah, for sure. So another Angry Sun level. There are a couple of tricky parts. One is keeping P-Speed going up the hill, and 2 is avoiding sun damage as you jump over. We see Glib getting some nice timing with the sun, pretty easily sailing over.
Oh, Booba, unfortunately clipping into that bullet bill there.
Yeah, so taking damage in 1 makes it tricky. Going in with tail is hard to maintain P-Speed and keep the level fast. So Booba does opt for the tail for safety, but then has to take the level a little slower, unfortunately. Aweglib moving on, so this is the second to the last level. Another auto-scroller after this will be at Bowser's Castle. So not a lot of time left.
And he's employing his patented strat there.
Yep. I'm gonna go ahead and call that the NASCAR strat also. So you're just gonna hold right, go straight, turn right. But yeah, getting through the levels, bravo.
Yeah, world famous Aweglib, something. 5 different monikers, TM.
Yeah, I think the lore is also something like the first day he gets affiliate on Twitch, he like nails it or something. Some sort of magic like that. There's more drama. Yeah, day 1 affiliate hype.
And we're going to get our first look at Bowser's Castle here.
Yeah, so Bowser's Castle is no joke, obviously, last level in the game. Getting a fire kill can be both tricky and an element of RNG. So if Bowser has a few different patterns, depending on like how early he jumps. So sometimes a really early jump, well, early couple of jumps can throw a player off. So we'll see how it's treated.
We actually saw it earlier this week, I think. It happened to Lasso. It might have been over the weekend. And yeah, it scared him.
Yeah, that's a bummer. It happened to me as well, just last run. So, fun side note, we probably all know this by now, but Bowser hitbox only on his head, I guess where the horns are, so you can just jump on him, no problem. Easy does it.
A little spooky there with that kill. Definitely harder than I think he anticipated.
Yeah, kind of playing with fire there. But he does make it through, and quite good time, so bravo, Glib.
Another 54. Great run.
GG, Glib, GG. So I'll wait for him to recover emotionally, but I think we'll be inviting him here if he has a moment for post-game commentary. But that was an awesome run from both. Thanks a lot, Glib. We see Booba just finishing up in the throne room now, so really close timing there.
I believe he's joined us now. Glib, how's it going?
Hello. Can we talk about 6F1 like real quick? Can we just have a really quick discussion? If you don't get that star on the first time, you should just bail. You should just bail out and just fight Boom Boom normally. And that's what I tell everybody to do. And then I didn't do it. So
Well, you
Yeah,
know,
real, man.
you felt like you needed to grab it, right? Because you're playing a good opponent, so.
I don't know. I really don't know what it was, because like I normally in a race play just stupidly safe. Like if things aren't going exactly how I want them to go, I just bail out. But for whatever reason, I'm like, yeah, we'll grab the star. What? Who cares? So, other than that, I'm really happy with that run. Some bad luck in spots, but other than that, played pretty okay.
Yeah, it was a pretty solid run. I think that was really the only major blemish for you, was that.
Yeah, I had some hiccups, like lost fire in 4-4, lost it in 5-5. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that was really about it. The really big mistakes still happened, but oh well.
Yeah, if you don't make that mistake and maybe one less hand, it's a 53 again, so.
Yeah. I was kind of nervous because like a lot of times when you play this game, you get like one good run a day. So I had a 53 in warm up before, and I'm like, that's gonna be my good run, and I'm just gonna play like absolute garbage. But luckily, it still played okay.
Yeah, for sure. GG. Ibuba just wraps up just a little bit after, so we'll try to get him in as well.
Looked like it was pretty close. I was in chat hanging out, and seemed like 7-1 was kind of the difference maker there. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, he lost a lot of time there, unfortunately. Pretty close to a minute difference.
Yeah. I mean, you lose a few seconds every attempt, and I got in second try, and for him it was like in the 20s, so that's rough.
Yeah, that's a lot, and then I'm trying to recall. So pretty similar Hammer Bros, though.
Well, he got runaway bros, so.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, somebody said that in the race chat that he had runaway in World 3, so yeah, that's
And
not
you
fun to
actually
deal with
prevented
either.
yours.
Yeah,
'Cause yours
yeah.
was thinking about doing it.
Yeah, it was hanging up by that top spot the whole time, and I was just waiting for it to walk over. Luckily, it hung around long enough for me to get to it. I had to take a lot of map movements to not take the death, but ended up working out at least.
Yeah, actually, shout out to you, because I remember that in my race. I had a similar movement, and I actually did the same thing you did.
Yeah. We mentioned that too in your race earlier, that you also went to fight that bro to get it out of the way so that you don't have to worry about that runaway. That's a pretty common race strat, at least for me. I always play it safe when I can with those kind of things.
I'm trying to think. Don't think there was much else separating you guys really other than those two things.
Yeah, it sounded like he played pretty solidly. Did he die at all? I don't think he did.
He did die. He died in the fort, the Sky Fort. In World 5.
Okay.
But I don't know what happened there, because he did lose internet connection, and then it kind of glitched over and he was dead. So I don't know if he missed a jump or what happened.
Okay, sure.
Hey, so we're now joined by Abuba. Abuba, GG. Welcome, man. You did a great job. How you feeling post-race?
Thank you. First of all, GG, Aweglib.
GG, man. It was fun.
I hate 7-1.
Oh, man, I know. I was in the chat and I saw people were lamenting your 7-1. I'm like, man, that's not the way I want this race to be decided.
I know. I'm not sure. I won't say that was the difference because I made a lot of mistakes, but it was a very big factor on the race.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, and then the runaway bro as well, unfortunately.
That too, but I think I was doing very good, including the extra bro, the runaway bro, but now 7-1 killed me. After 7-1, I was like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, that's the really tough part too, is when something, especially when it's out of your control, it just goes wrong. It's really hard to like keep your focus with the game. You're just like, you're so mad that you just have to just kind of, it's hard to just throw that out of your mind and keep going.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're just kind of relying on hand RNG too. You're like, maybe he'll get all three and I'll get none, which is really low probability, but it could happen.
I still wasn't sure that I could win if that happened, but I was hoping. But hands.
Yeah, I think we both ended up with 2, so at least something played out the same.
Well, GG, Aweglib.
Yeah, GG, man. I was so nervous for this race. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't been nervous for too many races, but this one I knew it was gonna be a tough one. So I was really nervous for this one. You did well. I'm excited to see what the kind of tear you're gonna make in the losers bracket.
Let's see. I don't even know who I am facing next. I will see.
I think it's the winner of the match between Narfman and I, actually.
Okay, then.
Looks like he's got Mr. Cab. Yeah, Mr. Cab, and then the winner of those two matches.
That's right. He's got one
off.
more.
Yeah, so dang,
Okay.
it's a packed house for that little section of the bracket right now.
And well, and good luck.
Oh, hey, Booba. What happened in the Sky Fort? We didn't really see, but you died. But I think your stream went down during that.
I used to have internet problems sometimes. I died on the jump that you make on the little platform.
Oh, okay.
Jumped way earlier. I died.
Yeah, that's so tricky. If you jump like just slightly early, even you'll miss it.
But if you jump, if you try to jump late, you just fall and die. It's a hard jump.
Exactly. Yeah, that one's rough. Okay.
Well, it was fun. It was fun. GG, Aweglib again.
GG, man.
Yeah, y'all did great. We were hyped before, so I know Glib is just like historical, awesome, always been great. Booba, you've been amazing, like especially in the races, showing up consistently, putting down some awesome times. Thanks so much for racing in your time. Thanks for Speed Gaming as well for hosting us. This is great. I think the next couple events are both in chat, and tomorrow, Saturday at 1 and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. But yeah, thanks again, folks. GG.
GG, guys. Thanks for the commentary.
Yeah, no
Yeah, thank you for
problem.
the
Thanks for the great race, and shout out to Speed Gaming again for hosting this.
Gaming.
And I think that's it. Hope you guys have a good night.
Rolling out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks all. Bye.